This podcast is recorded live during my weekly Zoom virtual healing circles. Be sure to stick around to the end of the episode to learn more about how you can join me for these live virtual events. Welcome to the Virtual Healing Circle with me, Jen Fable of LiveLifeUnbroken.com. So tonight, my job is to introduce you to / go deeper into the definition of your meta K, your metaphysical kinesthetic. So why is this important? Why should you care about a meta K? So your meta K, or your metaphysical kinesthetic, is your sixth sense. We always talk about that third eye, sixth sense, but we don't really talk about how we know what it is or how to find it. So your Medicaid is the sensation of your intuition, and it is the guiding light that you want to be using and calibrating your journey to. Too often we attempt to attune our journey to our emotions or our feelings. And while your emotions are extremely important when it comes to energy work, they can sometimes get in the way. And I want to go a little bit deeper into the reasons why tonight. So you will remember that you exist on 4 realms. You have your physical realm that connects to your physical body, your neurons, your tissues, your bones, your cells. It is everything in the environment that you can see, smell, taste, touch, and hear. You have your emotional realm. This is where your emotions live. This is where your memories are stored. And this is connected to the part of your psyche known as the unconscious mind or subconscious mind. It's the same thing. I just prefer the linguistics of unconscious because sub makes it sound less than. You have the mental realm. This is your thinking self. This is connected to your conscious mind and conscious awareness. This is the part of you that has a desperate need to know why. Why? What does it mean? What does it mean? What does it mean? This is the part of you that likes to understand and attach language to the information, which is important. And we often spend too much time in this realm and not enough in the others. Then, of course, you have the spiritual or energetic realm, which is connected to your higher self, which is the outlet through which we connect to the energy around us. Now, you will remember from previous circles that it is your mental realm and your emotional realm that create that bridge to be able to bring the energy from the energetic realm to your physical self. And when I talk about energy, I don't necessarily mean anything necessarily wooey, right? We know that the universe is made up of energy. There's sound waves, there's electromagnetic radiation. Our body is interacting with this at any given moment. Tons of data is coming at us through these senses. We're always picking up on this. And we are reacting to our environment and interacting with it in very specific ways. And a lot of times that interaction is out of our awareness. It's happening at deeper levels than the mental realm. And we can start to tune into some of that information to help guide us on our path. So let's go deeper with this idea. So you'll remember that you have a conscious mind and you have an unconscious mind. So your conscious mind is anything that you are aware of. It is, so right now you might be aware of the sound of my voice. And you might be aware of the gorgeously purple circle on the slide. And you might not be aware of the sensation of your hands or your toes. Only now you're probably noticing your hands and your toes because I said something about it. So up until this moment, that knowing of those parts of your body was there, but it was still at the unconscious level. You weren't aware of it, but your body was still picking up on it. And just like that, you were able to tune into it. So anything that is in your awareness is being processed by your conscious mind, by your mental realm self. And anything that is outside of your awareness is unconscious mind or emotional realm self. Stay with me. So you'll also recall that your conscious mind is really just the byproduct of the intersection of your energetic self with your unconscious mind. That mental realm thinky place that we put so much energy into is really just a small piece of who we are. And when we rely too heavily on that part of us, it tends to lead us down the wrong path. It tends to lead us on no path at all, oftentimes just spinning in circles. So this is how you experience the world in a nutshell. And I've talked about this before, but I want to give you a different perspective on it and how it relates to your meta K. So your way of interacting with the environment is only through your 5 senses. That's how we know the world external to us. So anything I see, smell, taste, touch, and feel, all that information comes streaming into me through my five senses in the form of energy. Now, it's estimated that we're exposed to around 20 million bits of information a second. Of course, as we study the brain and learn more about its function, that number fluctuates a bit. And suffice it to say, there's a lot of information. So, in this moment alone, what does this moment sound like? What does this moment smell like? What does it taste like? What about the sensation of your glasses on your face, or your pants on your leg, or your feet on the floor? All this information is being picked up by the neurons in your body, but most of it doesn't make it into your awareness because, let's be honest, it's not that important. So you've got 20 million bits of information coming in, but your own human neurology brain can only process, your human computer can process about 134 bits at a time. That's just kind of the speed of our human CPU. Okay, so a lot of information has to be gotten rid of. And what determines what gets through are what are called your neurological filters. They are things like your memories, your previous experience, beliefs, and values. Any past decisions that you made will definitely color the way you experience this moment. Your meta programs, such as your deep personality traits, like if you're an introvert or an extrovert, that will color how you experience this moment. Where you are in time and space, your language, your attitude, all of this stuff, all of who you are, who you've been, all the programming handed down to you through the generations is what that information is filtered through. And the part of the brain that actually handles this is known as the reticular activating system, or the RAS, which exists. It's situated right at the top of the brain stem. It's about the width of a pencil and it's about 2 inches long. And all the data from your five senses goes into this part of the brain where it gets filtered before making it up into your conscious awareness. So the information comes in, it gets filtered. That filtered information that has already been filtered through your biases, your traumas, your fears, that's what creates those pictures in your head when you just run those movies in your head, or those conversations where you have like a whole argument with someone that you're probably never going to actually have in real life. And then based on what you're picturing and telling yourself, that's going to create an emotion, which will then create a shift in your body's physiology. So the example I always like to use is, imagine you're out somewhere and you see a bear, and it goes through a filter of, "Ah, I'm gonna die, it's a bear," because it's a bear, and I feel like that would be a perfectly fine filter to be running. Well, based on that filter, I'm probably gonna be imagining myself being mauled to death by the bear. I'm gonna be feeling panic and terror, and my body's gonna respond by going into fight or flight. It's gonna release adrenaline and cortisol to get me moving. Now, if I see a bear and it instead goes through a filter of, wow, what a majestic creature. I wonder what this beautiful spirit has shown up to teach me today. That's going to lead to a very different experience. Now I'm probably going to be picturing myself looking up, bear medicine and totems. I'm going to be feeling kind of curious and excited. My body's going to release different chemicals, neurotransmitters, and hormones. But the thing is, it's still the same bear. The only thing that has changed is the filter through which I'm experiencing it. It is my reticular activating system, my RAS, that has chosen, based on my past and its prediction of the future, what would be important to me. And sometimes it gets it right, and sometimes it doesn't get it right. Kind of like Google ads or Facebook ads. Sometimes they advertise exactly what you've been searching for because it knows. And sometimes you get some weird ad, you're like, I don't know how it came up with that. So that happens as well. So information comes in, it gets filtered and creates your thoughts, your emotions, your physical sensations. Based on all that information, you come up with a strategy, either running away from the bear or looking up online spirit animals. And that will then lead to an action or behavior, such as running away or looking something up. I want you to notice where emotions show up in this process. Your emotions come up after the information has been filtered through your limiting beliefs, through your fears, through your traumas, through your shadow self. And so your emotions, while they are a valuable feedback system between your conscious mind and your unconscious mind, they don't have the information necessary when it comes to understanding energetic work because they are already filtered. This is why working on the emotional realm is so important. Your emotional realm are those neurological filters, is your reticular activating system, is the bridge between the energy around you and your mental self. And so we want to catch the information before it gets filtered, before our thoughts and our past wounds and hurts changes it. So your emotions are a filtered response to information, whereas your Medicaid is what your unconscious mind senses before the information gets filtered through your beliefs, traumas, and memories, before you attach a story to it. And that's the key with your Medicaid. So it is the sensation of your intuition, but it is neutral. There is no emotion, there is no story, there is only awareness. It is quiet and subtle, and it is very much like averted vision. Now, averted vision, if you remember back to, I'm pretty sure it was the 90s when stereogram pictures were all the rage and everyone had them hanging everywhere. And you would walk into a waiting room in the doctor's office and there'd just be people staring at the wall trying to figure out what this picture was. So these were pictures where it's just these seemingly random colors and dots. And if you looked at it in the right way, a three-dimensional image would pop out at you. And the key was you had to relax your awareness. If you used your mental realm thinking self to focus on the picture, you couldn't see anything. It was when you softened, it was when you relaxed, it was when you allowed your peripheral vision to open up and let more information in that the image slowly rose to the surface. But from a Medicaid perspective, this is kind of how you want to look at your Medicaid. The harder you attempt to focus on it, the less you will notice it. It's one of those things that you have to look at from the side. You have to look at through your peripheral. And of course, I don't mean physiologically with your eyes, because your Medicaid is not something that you're looking at specifically. But when you're sensing it in your body, if you attempt to find it, damn it, you won't be able to see it. It will literally become invisible to you. It's only when you soften, it's only when you use the peripheral of your senses that you can start to notice that there's something there and the three-dimensional image or your Medicaid pops up for you. So, how to find your Medicaid? So, I'm going to have you, wherever you are, if it's safe to do so, I'm going to have you close your eyes for a moment. And I want you to put out your right hand, palm up, and I want you to imagine a small, warm ball of light right in the palm of your hand. And as soon as you know that there is a small, warm ball of light in the palm of your hand, I want you to put your other hand up in the air just as a signal. Good. Now notice when you know that ball of light is there, what shifted? What shifted between the moments from before you knew it was there to after? Now you can put your other hand down, but keeping your palm face up with a ball of light in your palm. I want you to imagine having that ball of light slowly begin to glow and begin to move up your arm, all the way up your arm, across your chest, and down into your belly. And when it's there, put your hand up again as a signal. Good. How do you know what shifted to let you know that the ball of light is there? Now imagine that ball of light gently filling that space in your belly with warmth and calm, allowing it to spread until your entire belly is filled with that warmth. And when you know that space is filled, put your hand up as a signal. Good. How do you know? Notice where in your body you get that signal from, allowing yourself to soften as you notice it, knowing that if you try to focus on it, you won't find it, it'll disappear. So you can open up your eyes and come back into the space. So that is your Medicaid. It is that almost imperceptible shift that happens in response to new data. If you ever saw the movie The Matrix, and at one point, I think in the Matrix they use the deja vu, but all of a sudden they're like something's changed, something shifted in the Matrix. Everything still looks the same, sounds the same, smells the same, feels the same, tastes the same. Everything's the same, but something's different because now I know there's a ball of light in my hand. That teeny tiny imperceptible little flutter is your metaphysical kinesthetic. And that is what you want to tune into because it happens before there's a story. It happens, it's the information that you're picking up on. I call it my spidey sense, right? That's the information that you're picking up on around you before it gets filtered through your traumas, through your fears, before it has that story attached to it. So, the way I like to think about it, if you've ever heard, there's lots of albums online, Sounds of Whales. Whales are beautiful. They sing to each other, which is interesting because they don't have vocal cords, but they somehow devised a system to sing to each other, and they will sing for sometimes hours. And under the surface of the water is these beautiful, haunting sounds, but you can't hear it when you're standing on the shore. Your Medicae is the same. You cannot hear the sound of your soul if you're attempting to stand on the shores of your mental realm and think your way through it. You have to go deeper. You have to dive into the water to hear the message, which means relaxing into it, which means becoming grounded. So your Medicae is something that you have to be in your emotional realm to access. You cannot access it from the mental, which is why building that bridge is so crucial. Now, this is really, really important. Stop asking why. Stop asking, what does this mean? We like to approach energy work from our mental realm self because our mental realm thinks that if it just understands why, everything else will fall into place, damn it. And it doesn't work that way. If you're in the middle of meditating and you feel a warm glow around your head, and then you stop and say, why? What does that mean? You take yourself out of it. It is not about why. It is not about what does this mean. That is not up to us to figure out. That may not even be accessible to us to figure out. So you're not going to ask, why am I feeling this? Or what does it mean when I feel this? I see this online a lot. I was I was meditating and all of a sudden I pictured a car crash. What does that mean? Or all of a sudden I felt this heaviness in my belly. What does that mean? Why did I feel that? It doesn't matter. Your mental realm self will convince you that it matters because your conscious mind needs to understand why. And if you get stuck there, then your bridge stops there and the energy stops with it. You want to instead ask, where in my body am I noticing the shift? Or how do I know? So, where in my body am I noticing that I'm grounded? Where in my body am I noticing this energy moving through my body? Where am I noticing my center, my calm? Where does my calm live in my body? Not why isn't it even? Why do I feel it more on one side? What does it mean if I only feel it in my left eyeball on the third of the month? Doesn't matter. Where am I noticing it? Asking this question will begin to shift you into your emotional realm, and that's the beginning of the bridge. So, some key concepts to remember. The harder you attempt to focus on the Medicae, the more you won't be able to find it. Because focusing, what we're trying to do is use our mental realm self to see it. And much like the stereograms, the harder you try, the less you'll be able to see. You have to relax your focus. You have to notice it from the side in order to allow that image to pop out at you. Please stop asking why. Please stop trying to figure out what it means. You will spend a lifetime in that space and probably never get the answer. And even if you did, it wouldn't change anything. Asking, where am I noticing the shift? Or how do I know that there's a ball of light in my hand? What is different in this moment? That is how you're going to start to attune to your Medicae. And the more you tune into it, the easier it gets to find. It's kind of like if you're in a restaurant and it's very crowded. Remember back to the days when we could have crowded restaurants and everyone has conversations going on around you, and you can tune them out to focus on the person who is at the table with you. Even though it's really loud and noisy, you can focus your attention softly on the person in front of you. Your Medicae is the same way. The more you focus on it from a softened place, the more you tune into it, the easier it becomes to notice. Your goal is to be the observer, not the interpreter. I'm going to say that one again. Your goal is to be the observer, not the interpreter. Allowing things to flow as they are meant to flow is the easiest path to your Medicae and the easiest way to build a bridge. So, as always, I'm going to remind you to decide that you want it more than you're afraid of it. Your conscious mind, mental realm, thinking self is going to attempt to convince you that your emotions are more important than your Medicae when it comes to the journey. Your emotions are great feedback mechanisms that teach you about you, but your guiding light, your compass in terms of what direction to go, that is your Medicae. When you are listening to your Medicae, your emotions will follow that. versus the other way around. So just decide you want it more than you're afraid of it, and you'll always be okay. If you are new to Circle, or if you are new to the podcast and you are looking to get some of the background information on some of the concepts that I talk about in Circle, you are welcome to check out my Bridging the Gap spiritual development course, which is now available online. It is over 5 hours worth of content that is spread out over 20 videos. I have changed it to lifetime access to the videos versus 1 year access. So you now have access to those videos forever. And I cover things like creating an altar, grounding and bubbling. We talk about thought form energies and psychic self defense and working with symbols and sigils, the introduction to the chakras, how to work with the tree of life, how to manifest. All of this is covered in great detail in my course. So if you're interested, please go to www.livelifeunbroken.com/bridge to learn more about that. As always, I want to remind you that if you have any questions at all about any of this information, please feel free to reach out to me through my website at www.livelifeunbroken.com or through email or social media. I am always open to inputs. I'm always open to suggestions for future topics of Circle, as well as answering your questions if you hit a bit of a roadblock. So, knowing that the Medicaid is by definition an elusive concept, and it is one of those things that you can really only understand the more you experience it. What questions do you have? What ahas did you have? Or what do I need to know?
So I feel like I guess I need to practice it more, or like I think maybe I need to meditate more or start again. And I feel like maybe that way I will, because the way I meditate, I learned it like way back when is you do sit and you do kind of just go from head to toe and you see what sensations you feel in your body. Is
So
that
that is
kind of
mindfulness.
okay?
Mindfulness is different than Medicaid. Mindfulness is paying attention to all the sensations in your body
Okay.
as they are without any kind of outside influence. Your Medicaid does have an influence because it comes when you imagine something changing. You imagine a beam of light through the center of your body. You imagine a warmth in your hand. And so, because you are adding data into it, your Medicaid is in response to that added data versus mindfulness, which is just an observation of where you're at.
Okay. So what should I be doing? Like, what can one do on a daily basis to practice it then?
So really anything, you can just be like, I'm going to imagine, a warm ball of light in my hand and play with that. You can just literally play with that, like fake juggling and moving it around your body and seeing, oh yeah, I think I noticed this. I actually found qigong or qigong, depending on how you want to
Okay.
pronounce it, very helpful for myself. I am not trained in it. I follow YouTube videos. Lee Holden is one of my favorites. If you want to look him up on YouTube, I think. And so I found qigong was helpful. Bubbling and grounding is helpful. Always. And when you're like, okay, so I'm imagining my roots growing into the earth. Well, how do I know? Where in my body can I sense that? Yeah, I'm now connected to the earth with roots. So anytime you're doing any kind of visualization or imagination work,
Yeah.
just stopping and asking, well, how do I know this? Where in my body do I know that I have roots out of the bottom of my feet? What lets me know? What shift in that moment? So just tuning into that is helpful.
Okay.
When I'm bubbling and grounding, I know because I feel as if all the muscles around my belly just drop and relax. They don't actually, nothing physiologically happens, but I have this sensation of like a gentle lowering down, like, thump, like I'm here now.
Mhm.
Right? And that actually does come with a physical sensation nowadays. But in the beginning, your Medicaid is going to be very soft, and it is the part of you that doesn't have a story. People are often like, well, how do I know if it's my intuition or my anxiety? And I'm like, well, your intuition has no story. It is neutral. It is emotionally neutral because it is just based on data that hasn't been filtered yet. So if there's a story going on, or you're feeling like, oh, I don't like this or any of that, it's probably not it.
Okay. The other thing I was thinking when you were talking, like, don't focus on it and just sort of let it come. Is is that kind of equated to, when we work together and you say, tell me the first thing that comes into your mind, because that's your unconscious mind talking, you're not thinking. Is that sort of the same principle of being aware of the Medicaid? Is like you're not thinking of it, you're just like, it's that soft focus. Is that similar?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, 100%. Your unconscious mind, it's like if I say to someone, do you want ice cream or do you want jello? And they're like, I don't know. And I say, well, if you were to know, and they're like, oh, well, in that case, jello,
Hmm. Okay.
right?
Yeah.
The harder we think about it, like, I don't know. Well, I mean, on one hand, I like jello, and on the other hand, and I'm going to try to think my way through it. If I just, boom, answer the question,
Hmm.
we already know what we want. We already know. It's our thinking self that tries to justify it, that
Hmm.
tries to explain it, that tries to make it fit into our previous stories, that tends to lead us off path. If we just go with what we know about ourselves, the key is that how do you know that you know? That's your Medicaid. Your Medicaid is when you know that you know, not the knowing, it's the knowing of the knowing. That's your Medicaid.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. Is the Medicaid something that we would feel on a daily basis when we weren't in a meditation? Is this something that I could just sort of quickly, I don't know if the word access is right, but if I was having a moment of anxiety or an upsetting situation, is this something I could sort of call upon?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. The more you are attuned to your Medicaid, the easier it is to find. Now, when you are in a super heightened emotional state, you're probably in your story and you're stuck in the emotions. So you're already working with a filtered data. So to get yourself out of that headspace, that's where bubbling and grounding is really helpful. It changes your headspace. It gets that story out of the way. Your brain can't focus on why your life sucks and the fact that you have roots growing out of your feet into the earth, into the center.
Hmm.
Can't
Hmm.
hold those two thoughts at the same time. So as long as it's focusing on grounding into the earth and setting up your bubble, that other story goes away. So once the story is outside of that space, then you can hear your Medicaid. So it's not about, okay, in the middle of chaos, can I find my Medicaid? It's
Okay.
that in the middle of chaos, do I know that I'm in chaos
Hmm.
and I need to get myself into a state that is separate from my story. And so I'm going to use the tools I have to change my state so that I can change my focus. Does that answer the question?
It does.
So I think the more I'm trying to understand this, the more I get lost. So I'm gonna have to re-listen to this when you send us the link.
Really, the harder you
Um,
try to understand it through your mental realm self, the harder it gets.
yeah, surprise,
Yeah,
right?
weird.
Because I'm like, okay, I'm following, and then you said something else, and I was like, wait, what? But then, so I have to re-listen. But the question is it something like, like a year or whatever ago, like I was like, I need to get rid of all of my furniture in my apartment, in my living room. Was that it?
How did you know? What changed inside you that let you know now it's time?
It felt crowded, and
Where in
everything
your
just
body
needs
did you feel that crowded? Crowded's the story. Where in your body did you know it was too crowded?
in my head. It just felt small.
Where in your body did it feel small? Where did you pick up on it?
Space,
Okay, perfect. Then that's your Medicaid.
like all around me, just
The story is my apartment's too crowded. It's feeling icky. I don't like this. It's infringing on me. That's
yeah,
the story. That's the emotion. Before that showed up,
yeah.
before that story showed up, there was this little internal, mm, something's
Okay.
off. That little quiet thing that led to, okay, now it's time. Because I would guarantee that that apartment didn't suddenly become cluttered on that day. A
Yeah.
moving van didn't just come up and be like, haha, poof. So that clutter was there for a while, but on that day, in that moment, something small shifted that let you know now it's time. That's the Medicaid.
I don't think I picked that up on it. I was just, yeah.
We
It
often
was just,
don't. Your guys are tuning into your Medicaid all the time. You just don't know that you know. This is
yeah,
just making the process something that you can tune into so that when you need it,
yeah.
you know that it's there and that it's not just some random thing that you can say, aha, I'm stuck in story, I'm stuck in emotions, I need to get beyond that. I need to dive deeper so I can hear the whales singing, because right now
Yeah.
I'm stuck on the shore.
Yeah, the best way I could describe it was something's telling me that this, and this need to go.
Yeah. Where
And
in
so
your
I'm like,
body did that something telling you show up?
eh, don't know.
If you were to know, where in your body?
I'd say my brain, but like that's
Okay, cool. The cool thing about Medicaid is there's no wrong answer,
okay.
because it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Why did it show up in you could be like my left tooth. Okay. Right? It doesn't really matter where, as long as you knew, as long as you're like, yeah, there was something that shifted and I
Yeah.
noticed it this place in my body. That's all that matters. You noticed a shift
Yeah.
that caused an action. That's your Medicaid. Do you want to learn more about how you can continue your journey and experience my virtual healing circles in real time? If so, check out livelifeunbroken.com/circle and join my free circle membership. Receive weekly reminders, bonus material and recaps, plus special offers, as well as access to my weekly virtual healing circles. If you're ready to leave behind the fears and limitations of the ego and step into the spiritual life you've long known is waiting for you, you're invited to join me, Jen Fable, for a soul-nourishing journey into the exploration of you, the universe, and all space in between. Take control of your spiritual journey to attain a new level of understanding and connection to yourself and the people in your life. During our time in circle together, I will share with you all the tips and tricks you need to make playing with energy fun, easy, and most of all, effective. Together, we'll learn how to cultivate our inner compass to enable us to walk our path with grace and ease. We'll open the space with a candle meditation, and after I will share with you my favorite grounding practices and lead you through a circle casting, guided meditation, and breath work, followed by a soul-inspiring gratitude practice. If your soul has been calling out to you and you're ready to tune in and listen, go to www.livelifeunbroken.com/circle and register today for your Zoom access information. That's www.livelifeunbroken.com/circle, CIRCLE. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.